Amara is a young woman of remarkable beauty and intelligence, possessing a rare combination of kindness, sensitivity, and inner strength. She has always been aware of her surroundings, observing people and events with a thoughtful and empathetic heart. Born and raised in a close-knit village, she grew up surrounded by nature, the laughter of neighbors, and the warmth of family traditions. Despite the simplicity of her life, Amara carries herself with a quiet grace, moving through the world with a calm confidence that draws people to her. Her eyes, bright and expressive, often reveal the depth of her emotions before she even speaks, hinting at a soul that is both curious and compassionate. From a young age, Amara displayed a keen intellect, excelling in her studies and showing an unusual interest in stories, art, and the world beyond her village. She has a gentle demeanor, yet there is an unspoken courage about her, a sense that she will not shy away from challenges or from following her heart, no matter the risks. People often admire her for her thoughtfulness, her ability to listen and understand others, and the way she seems to radiate warmth without even trying. Despite these qualities, Amara remains humble, never seeking attention or praise, and she values genuine connections above all else. Her life, though peaceful and predictable, is also tinged with a quiet longing. Deep inside, Amara dreams of experiences that will test her spirit and reveal the depth of her own heart. She senses that one day, something extraordinary will enter her life, something that will challenge her, inspire her, and perhaps even transform her understanding of love and sacrifice. This combination of intelligence, sensitivity, courage, and longing makes Amara a character whose journey is both compelling and deeply human. Amara's daily life is peaceful and simple, yet filled with small joys and quiet routines that she cherishes. She lives in a picturesque village surrounded by rolling fields, lush trees, and the gentle sounds of nature. The mornings in her village are serene, with sunlight filtering through the leaves and the soft chirping of birds creating a gentle symphony. Villagers go about their daily work, tending to crops, livestock, or local shops, and the community is close-knit, where everyone knows each other's names and stories. Despite the simplicity, there is a warmth and familiarity that makes life comforting, and Amara feels deeply connected to the rhythms of her surroundings. Her days often begin early, with household chores, studying, and helping her family in small ways. She has a disciplined routine, balancing responsibilities with time for her personal interests, such as reading, sketching, or wandering through the nearby woods and fields. These walks give her moments of reflection, allowing her to dream about possibilities beyond her village. Amara's connection with her environment is almost spiritual. She notices the tiniest details, the way sunlight glints on a stream, the pattern of petals on a flower, or the laughter of children playing in the distance. These small observations fill her with a sense of wonder and curiosity about the world outside her familiar surroundings. Despite the tranquil life, there is a subtle tension between routine and desire. Amara dreams of experiences that will take her beyond the limits of her village, of adventures that will test her courage and awaken her heart in ways she cannot yet imagine. The village itself, with its friendly faces, simple homes, and winding paths, provides both a sense of security and a backdrop for the story of growth, love, and sacrifice that is about to unfold in Amara's life. One ordinary afternoon, as Amara walked along the winding path near her village, she noticed someone new approaching, a young man whose presence seemed to command attention effortlessly. He had a kind smile, expressive eyes, and a warmth that made everyone around him feel at ease. The moment their eyes met, Amara felt an unexpected flutter in her chest, a sensation she had never experienced before. It was subtle at first, just a quickening of her heartbeat, but it grew stronger with each passing second, stirring emotions deep within her. The young man, who introduced himself with a gentle voice and polite manners, carried an air of curiosity and sincerity. He was different from anyone she had ever met, not because of wealth or status, but because of the way he seemed genuinely interested in the world around him and in the people he encountered. Their conversation began with simple greetings and shared observations about the village and its surroundings, but soon, there was an easy rhythm to their words. They laughed together over small jokes, exchanged stories about their lives, and discovered a shared appreciation for art, nature, and simple pleasures. Amara found herself drawn to his presence in a way she could not fully explain. It was as if a spark had been ignited in her heart, awakening feelings that had lain dormant. She became more aware of her own emotions, noticing how his smile made her day brighter and how the sound of his voice lingered long after he had walked away. For the first time, Amara realized that her heart could feel something profound, something both exhilarating and frightening: love. This initial encounter, filled with curiosity, warmth, and subtle attraction, marked the beginning of a journey that would challenge her, inspire her, and eventually test the depth of her courage and devotion. Their first meeting left an impression on both Amara and the young man, though neither could have predicted how significant it would become. That afternoon, as the sun cast a golden glow over the village, they sat together under the shade of a large tree, talking quietly about simple things: family, the seasons, and the small joys of village life. Every word exchanged seemed effortless, as if they had known each other much longer than the few minutes that had passed. The way he listened to her, genuinely attentive and patient, made Amara feel valued and understood in a way she had rarely experienced before. As they spoke, small moments of laughter punctuated their conversation, light and genuine, filling the quiet afternoon with warmth. A playful remark about the birds in the nearby trees, a shared joke about a clumsy goat wandering too close to the path, or a smile over a mutual fascination with the colors of the flowers. All these tiny joys made the encounter feel magical. Amara noticed how easily she could express her thoughts without fear of judgment, and in turn, she began to sense the depth of his curiosity and respect for her feelings. There was also a subtle, unspoken connection forming. Each glance, each hesitant pause before answering, carried with it a growing awareness of something more than friendship. Amara felt a flutter in her chest whenever he looked her way, a warmth that lingered long after their conversation ended. The gentle exchange of ideas and emotions created a sense of intimacy that was both exciting and slightly overwhelming. By the time they parted that day, Amara's heart felt lighter and more vibrant. The small joys, laughter, and thoughtful conversation had awakened something within her: a quiet hope, a curiosity, and the first tender stirrings of love. That simple meeting, seemingly ordinary, had planted the seed for a connection that would grow, challenge her, and ultimately transform her life in ways she could not yet imagine. After their first meeting, Amara could not stop thinking about him. His presence lingered in her mind, even during the quiet moments of her daily routines. As she went about her chores, studied, or walked through the village, small memories of their conversation kept surfacing: a shared laugh, the sparkle in his eyes, or the gentleness in his voice. For the first time, Amara became aware of a fluttering in her chest, a warmth that seemed to radiate from within, signaling the first true stirrings of love. These emotions were new and unfamiliar, leaving her both excited and anxious. She found herself imagining his smile, replaying their conversation in her mind, and wondering what he was doing at that very moment. Even simple things, like the way he had tilted his head while listening or the way he had paused thoughtfully before answering her questions, took on new significance. Every detail seemed imbued with meaning, and Amara realized that she was beginning to care deeply about someone outside of her immediate world. This emerging love also brought a sense of vulnerability. She had never allowed her heart to feel so strongly for another person, and with that came both hope and fear. Could he feel the same way? Would her feelings remain unspoken, or would there be a moment when they could be shared? Despite the uncertainty, Amara could not deny the joy and energy these emotions brought to her life. Her heart felt lighter, yet more alive, and every thought of him seemed to illuminate even the simplest moments of her day. In the quiet solitude of her room, as she watched the sunset paint the sky with shades of gold and pink, Amara acknowledged the truth she could no longer ignore. She was experiencing love for the first time. It was gentle, tentative, and fragile, yet undeniably powerful. This first glimpse of love marked the beginning of a journey that would test her courage, her patience, and ultimately the strength of her heart. Days turned into weeks. Amara and the young man found more opportunities to spend time together, away from the curious eyes of the village. Their bond began to deepen, nurtured through secret meetings and quiet conversations that felt both thrilling and intimate. They would meet in hidden corners of the village, under the shade of ancient trees, or by the gentle flow of a nearby stream. Each encounter, no matter how brief, became a treasured moment, a private world where their hearts could speak freely without fear of judgment or interruption. During these secret meetings, their conversations grew more personal. They shared their dreams, fears, and little quirks that made them unique. Amara learned about his ambitions, his family, and the small joys that brightened his days. In turn, he listened to her stories with rapt attention, appreciating her thoughts, ideas, and the way she observed the world. There was an unspoken understanding between them, a sense that they were discovering each other not only through words, but also through gestures, smiles, and the quiet comfort of shared silence. These private moments also allowed them to explore their feelings gradually. A lingering glance, a soft laugh, or the gentle brush of a hand against theirs sent waves of warmth through Amara's heart. Each meeting strengthened the emotional connection between them, building trust, affection, and an unspoken promise that they would support each other no matter what challenges arose. The secrecy added a layer of excitement and intensity, making their growing love feel precious and fragile. Through these small but significant interactions, Amara began to understand the depth of her emotions. Love was no longer a fleeting feeling. It was becoming a central part of her life, shaping her thoughts, her hopes, and her quiet reflections. With each secret meeting, her heart grew bolder, ready to embrace the challenges and sacrifices that love might demand in the days to come. As Amara's bond with the young man deepened, not everyone in the village looked upon their growing closeness with approval. Soon, whispers began to circulate among neighbors and relatives, and concerned friends and families started questioning the appropriateness of their secret meetings. Her parents, who had always valued tradition and caution, grew wary. They noticed the subtle changes in Amara's routine, the extra time she spent away from home, and the spark in her eyes that seemed to belong to someone else. Though they could not fully understand the depth of her feelings, they feared that her attachment might lead to disappointment or bring dishonor to the family's reputation. Friends, too, became hesitant. Some expressed concern under the guise of advice, warning her about trusting someone too quickly or investing her heart in a relationship that might not last. The young man himself faced his own set of challenges, with family members questioning his intentions and reminding him of responsibilities he could not ignore. These obstacles introduced tension into what had previously been a carefree and joyful connection. For Amara, these challenges brought a mixture of emotions: frustration, sadness, and sometimes fear. She struggled to balance her love for him with respect for her family's expectations. The opposition also made her question her own choices, wondering whether her heart could withstand the pressures of judgment, tradition, and social scrutiny. At the same time, the obstacles strengthened her resolve. She realized that love, if true, often required courage and determination, and that standing by her feelings would not always be easy or convenient. The presence of these external challenges added depth and complexity to Amara's journey. The simplicity of her early emotions was now intertwined with the reality of the world around her. She was beginning to learn that love is not just about joy and closeness. It is also about navigating difficulties, standing firm in the face of doubt, and finding the strength to pursue the heart's desires even when the path is uncertain and fraught with obstacles. As Amara's feelings for the young man deepened, she began to realize that love required not just emotion, but also compromise and sacrifice. At first, these were small, almost imperceptible adjustments in her daily life. She started spending less time on her favorite hobbies, such as sketching in the early morning or reading by the riverbank, because she wanted to dedicate those moments to him. The time she once spent wandering through the fields alone, reflecting on her thoughts and dreams, gradually shifted toward planning secret meetings, conversations, and ways to make him feel valued and cared for. Even simple habits were quietly set aside. She no longer lingered at the village market as long as she used to, nor did she spend hours in contemplation of the stories she loved so much. Every decision was carefully considered. If her choice meant more time together or avoiding potential conflict with his family or hers, she willingly adapted. These sacrifices were not forced, but voluntary, born from the deep desire to nurture the bond between them. Despite their seeming smallness, each sacrifice carried emotional weight. Amara occasionally felt a pang of loss when she let go of something she enjoyed, but the joy of being close to him made the discomfort bearable. In her heart, she began to understand that love is not only about receiving warmth and happiness, but also about giving up personal comforts for the sake of someone else's well-being and the health of the relationship. Through these gradual sacrifices, Amara's love grew stronger and more mature. She began to see that real love involves selflessness, patience, and understanding. Each adjustment, each moment of compromise, was a quiet test of her devotion, preparing her for the greater challenges and choices that lay ahead in her journey of love, loyalty, and heart-deep commitment. As time passed, the bond between Amara and the young man deepened, and their love became a force that influenced every thought and action in their lives. What had once been tender affection and gentle curiosity transformed into a profound emotional connection. They began to recognize that their hearts were intertwined in ways that went beyond simple attraction or companionship. Every glance, every word, every shared laugh reinforced the intensity of their feelings, creating a sense of devotion that was both exhilarating and consuming. Their readiness to support and protect each other became increasingly apparent. Amara found herself willing to take risks she would have never considered before, from defying small societal expectations to standing firm in her convictions for the sake of their love. Similarly, the young man demonstrated unwavering care and attentiveness, willing to adjust his own plans and desires to ensure that Amara felt safe, valued, and loved. Each act, whether small or significant, carried with it the weight of genuine commitment, a reflection of the seriousness with which they approached their relationship. This intensity was not only emotional, but also practical. They shared responsibilities, made thoughtful decisions together, and discussed their dreams for the future, imagining a life in which they could support each other's ambitions while maintaining the closeness they cherished. Every challenge they faced, whether familial concern, societal expectation, or personal doubt, only strengthened their resolve. Love had become a guiding principle in their lives, shaping choices, priorities, and even the way they perceived the world around them. For Amara, the growing intensity of love awakened a sense of courage and determination she had never known. She realized that true love requires more than fleeting emotion. It demands loyalty, understanding, and an unwavering willingness to stand by the person you cherish. In this stage of their journey, both Amara and her beloved were learning that when love reaches its fullest intensity, it inspires not only joy and tenderness, but also extraordinary acts of commitment and sacrifice. As Amara's love grew stronger, she faced the first true test of her heart, the realization that love sometimes demands profound sacrifices. Until this point, she had adjusted small parts of her life, giving up hobbies and shifting routines, but now the stakes were far higher. She began to recognize that pursuing this relationship fully would require choices that conflicted with her personal dreams, her career aspirations, and even her family's expectations. It was a moment of quiet but immense courage, a point where her devotion would be measured not just in feelings, but in actions. Her dreams, which had once felt so certain, now appeared in a different light. The ambitions she had nurtured, continuing her studies, traveling to explore the world, or dedicating herself to creative projects, had to be balanced against the needs of her relationship. To remain close to the young man and protect the bond they shared, Amara consciously set aside some of these aspirations. It was not out of obligation, but out of choice, a deliberate act of love, knowing that true commitment sometimes requires placing another's happiness alongside, or even above, your own. Family expectations added another layer of challenge. Her parents, who valued tradition and security, had begun expressing concern over her deep attachment. Following her heart meant confronting their disapproval, risking tension, and even facing moments of isolation or criticism. Each decision carried emotional weight, testing Amara's resilience and her ability to reconcile love with responsibility. Yet, through this profound sacrifice, Amara discovered the depth of her own strength. She realized that love is not passive. It is an active force demanding courage, patience, and sometimes the willingness to forego comfort or recognition. In making these choices, she solidified not only her bond with her beloved, but also her understanding of herself, embracing the truth that the path of love often requires bold and selfless steps. As Amara and her beloved continued to nurture their relationship, unforeseen challenges began to surface. Love, as tender and thrilling as it was, could not exist in a perfect vacuum. Small misunderstandings, differences in perspective, and moments of miscommunication slowly started to test the foundation they had built. What had once been effortless conversation now occasionally carried undertones of tension, as words were misinterpreted or intentions assumed incorrectly. Each misunderstanding, no matter how minor, felt magnified in the delicate world they had created together. External pressures also played a role in complicating their bond. Families, societal expectations, and the watchful eyes of the village added stress to their private moments. The young man occasionally struggled to balance his responsibilities with the demands of nurturing the relationship, while Amara felt the weight of her own compromises and the fear that she might disappoint him or herself. These external and internal pressures created emotional friction, highlighting the reality that love is rarely uncomplicated. Yet, through these challenges, Amara began to learn patience and empathy. She realized that misunderstandings do not necessarily signal failure, but rather opportunities for growth, communication, and deeper understanding. Arguments, disagreements, and moments of silence became spaces where both could reflect on their feelings, reconsider assumptions, and find ways to reconnect more sincerely. Even as tension crept into their interactions, Amara's heart remained committed. She understood that love requires resilience, the courage to face conflict without losing sight of the bond, the willingness to listen without judgment, and the ability to forgive and move forward. These challenges, though painful at times, became essential stepping stones in their journey. They strengthened their connection, taught them the complexities of human emotion, and prepared them for the greater sacrifices and choices that the path of true love would demand in the days ahead. As challenges and misunderstandings began to arise in her relationship, Amara realized that love was not just about feeling joy and closeness. It was also about navigating difficulties with courage and patience. Whenever a disagreement or tension surfaced, she consciously chose to approach the situation thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. She understood that words spoken in anger or frustration could harm the delicate bond she cherished, and so she focused on listening carefully, seeking to understand her beloved's perspective even when it conflicted with her own. Amara also learned the importance of patience. Some problems could not be solved immediately. They required time, reflection, and careful communication. She would spend hours thinking through solutions, considering both her needs and his, and imagining ways to bridge gaps in understanding. She often reminded herself that love is a process, one that grows stronger when nurtured with empathy, consideration, and perseverance. By approaching difficulties calmly, she gradually transformed conflicts into opportunities for growth, building a deeper emotional connection that was resilient in the face of adversity. Courage played an equally important role. Amara had to confront not only her own fears and insecurities, but also external pressures from family and society. Standing firm in her feelings, expressing her needs, and gently advocating for the relationship required bravery she had never had to summon before. Each challenge she faced became a test of her character, forcing her to balance vulnerability with strength, emotion with rationality, and love with responsibility. Through this process, Amara discovered that patience and courage are not separate qualities but intertwined virtues that sustain love over time. By tackling problems thoughtfully and with an open heart, she reinforced the trust and intimacy between herself and her beloved. These experiences prepared her for even greater sacrifices and choices ahead, shaping her into a person capable of deep empathy, unwavering loyalty, and steadfast devotion, the kind of love that can endure both joy and hardship. Just as Amara and her beloved seemed to have found a rhythm in their relationship, an unexpected event shook the foundation of their bond. One day, A situation arose that neither of them had anticipated, a misunderstanding, a secret revealed, or a rumor circulating through the village that challenged the trust and closeness they had carefully nurtured. For Amara, the experience was deeply unsettling. She had invested so much of her heart and courage into this love, and now, faced with uncertainty, she felt the ground beneath her shift. The betrayal, whether real or perceived, tested her emotions to the core. Doubt crept into her thoughts, mingling with confusion and fear. Questions plagued her. Had she misjudged him? Could she forgive what had happened? Would this challenge be strong enough to unravel the connection they had worked so hard to build? Her mind raced with possibilities, and the weight of the situation felt heavier than any challenge she had faced before. Despite the turmoil, Amara did not give in to despair. She understood that love is rarely simple and that even the strongest bonds can face trials. Drawing on the courage she had cultivated in previous challenges, she approached the situation with careful thought and honesty. She sought clarity through conversation, confronting the issue directly rather than allowing resentment to fester. Every emotion, anger, sadness, fear, was acknowledged but tempered with patience as she tried to understand both her own feelings and those of her beloved. This unexpected event became a turning point, a moment of profound growth for Amara. She realized that love requires resilience, the ability to navigate betrayal or disappointment without losing oneself, and the courage to rebuild trust when it is tested. Though the experience was painful, it strengthened her character, her understanding of human vulnerability, and her commitment to the relationship. Through this trial, Amara discovered that true love is not only about joy and closeness. It is also about facing adversity together and emerging stronger on the other side. After the unexpected event or betrayal, Amara found herself navigating a storm of emotions. Confusion, hurt, and disappointment surged through her mind, making every thought feel heavier than usual. She struggled to reconcile the love she felt with the doubts and fears now clouding her heart. Each memory of joy with her beloved was tinged with the uncertainty of what had happened, leaving her questioning the stability of their bond and the choices she had made for love. Despite this emotional turmoil, Amara refused to let despair define her. Deep within, she held on to a core of self-confidence that had been cultivated through her life experiences, her past victories over challenges, and the personal sacrifices she had made for love. She reminded herself that her worth was not dependent solely on the approval or actions of others, even the person she loved most. This inner strength allowed her to face difficult conversations, confront her own vulnerabilities, and maintain a sense of dignity amid the chaos of feelings. Amara approached her beloved with honesty, expressing her emotions openly without losing sight of her values. She acknowledged her pain but did not let it control her actions, demonstrating maturity beyond her years. This balance of vulnerability and self-assurance helped to create a space where dialogue, understanding, and healing could occur. She also took moments alone to reflect, meditate, and regain composure, ensuring that her decisions were guided by clarity rather than impulsive emotion. Through this period of emotional upheaval, Amara discovered that true confidence is not the absence of fear or sadness, but the ability to face them while staying grounded in one's principles. Her self-assurance became a stabilizing force in her relationship, allowing her to rebuild trust, nurture love, and emerge from the turmoil not weakened, but stronger, wiser, and more resilient. It was a testament to the power of inner strength in sustaining both love and personal INTE. After enduring misunderstandings, external pressures, and personal sacrifices, Amara and her beloved faced the ultimate test of their love. This moment demanded a choice, whether to fight for their relationship despite the obstacles or to step back and make a sacrifice for the greater good. It was a time of reflection, weighing the depth of their feelings against the practical realities of life, family expectations, and personal aspirations. For Amara, the decision was not easy. Every memory of laughter, shared dreams, and tender moments reminded her of the strength and joy of their connection. Yet, the challenges they faced, the judgment of others, the lingering doubts, and the potential consequences of defying expectations loomed large in her mind. She understood that staying together would require continued courage, patience, and unwavering commitment, while choosing to part ways might bring heartbreak, but also protect both of them from further pain. In this critical moment, Amara relied on the lessons she had learned throughout her journey. She reflected on the sacrifices she had made, the emotional growth she had experienced, and the unwavering self-confidence she had cultivated. She considered not only her own happiness, but also the well-being of the young man, recognizing that true love involves balancing desire with responsibility, passion with wisdom. Ultimately, the choice she made, whether to save the relationship or step back, would define the course of her life. The final test of love revealed the depth of her character, showing that love is not only about emotional fulfillment, but also about discernment, courage, and the willingness to make difficult decisions. Regardless of the outcome, this moment marked the culmination of her journey into maturity, demonstrating that love is as much about sacrifice and wisdom as it is about joy and connection. The final chapter of her journey, Amara reached a moment of clarity. Whether the relationship ultimately endured or did not, she had grown immensely through her experiences. If their love survived the trials, it emerged stronger than ever, tempered by adversity and strengthened by mutual understanding. Every challenge, misunderstanding, and sacrifice had become a foundation for a deeper connection, creating a bond built on trust, resilience, and shared growth. In this case, Amara and her beloved could look forward to a future together, aware of the effort required to nurture love, yet confident in their commitment and the profound joy it brought. Even if circumstances led them apart, Amara would not see her journey as a failure. Instead, she carried with her invaluable lessons about the nature of love, the strength of her own heart, and the importance of courage, patience, and self-respect. She understood that love is not solely about being together. It is about growth, discovery, and the willingness to embrace change, even when it comes at a personal cost. Walking away would signify wisdom, not weakness, a conscious choice to honor her values and her emotional well-being while preserving the lessons and memories that had shaped her. In either outcome, Amara emerged transformed. She had learned to navigate the complexities of human emotion, to face betrayal and misunderstanding with dignity, and to balance her desires with reality. Her heart had been tested, but it had also been enriched, leaving her wiser, stronger, and more attuned to the nuances of love and life. The ending, whether joyful or bittersweet, was a testament to her resilience and growth. Amara stepped forward into a new chapter of life, carrying both the love she had experienced and the profound wisdom it had given her, ready to embrace whatever came next with an open heart and unshakable strength.